All right, here we are on the Worst podcast.
The worst.
The worst. I love the worst. It's the best.
Saturday of consensus, second day of our WRST NFT Gallery grand opening.
Yeah.
Here with Blake Jamieson and Chris Bomely. Thanks so much for being here, guys.
Congrats on the opening. That's exciting.
Thanks, man. Well, so much cooler with your art all around the gallery.
I've been able to be a spectator and see it like come together from the bare walls. Like I remember this area, like the first FaceTime call that I was on with you guys, and seeing the space and how far it's come is really, really, really cool.
It's really come a long way.
It's the worst.
I appreciate that. So you guys both have interesting experiences as creatives and in launching NFT projects. Chris, I understand you are creative director at the Chive. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
And you've been working on a really interesting project lately. What's that?
Yeah, we've been working very closely, extremely close, with Bill Murray on his new NFT project that's coming out early July. That's all I can say. We can't lock in too tight of the dates. It's always crazy, but we've been working really close with him. It's other projects that he's done or people have done with Bill.
Please be post no bills.
We have a post no bills.
Sick.
I'll give a hint. There's two post no bills.
That's awesome.
They're
That's
good.
what I'd be chasing.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're good. I'm telling you. And other people have done documentaries or books and things like that about the whole Bill Murray story thing. We're actually working with Bill Murray. Literally, he's looking at our stuff, he's giving edits, he's giving critique. We have videos of him that come with the NFT. So if you purchase the NFT, you get these amazing videos of him looking at this stuff. So pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Blake, you've had the experience of launching a few NFT projects by now. Is that right?
Yeah. 2.5 years of running around with my head cut off, testing things. I feel like I'm a very hands-on learner, and I got into NFTs early 2020, introduced by Micah Johnson, and was just like, all right, let's just see what works. Let's just throw stuff at the wall. And to some extent, 2.5 years later, I'm still doing the same thing, just in with a little bit more context. But yeah, it's been awesome and a fun expansion to my art business and my art practice and ways that I can connect with the community of collectors and fans and collaborators and other artists, and also just the fact that all of that's going to be preserved and have that legacy right on the blockchain of the early days of NFTs, which I believe we're still very much in.
Absolutely. Still super duper early, right?
Hope so.
Yeah, and I always think of NFTs as the tip of the iceberg, right?
Totally.
It's really just what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much more under the water, if you will.
Yeah. I think that's a really cool thing to say, too, is the legacy of this thing we're creating, and I say we, the collective we, is there's so much there. Totally. And that's something that, as an artist, as a creator, I'm all about. I'm all about creating something that's here for the long term. And here we are on the digital landscape creating something that's here for the long term. So yeah,
totally.
Well said. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So as creatives, you help bring the vision to life, make it real, right? These folks have ideas, but you bring the picture, the visual to the actual idea, right? Blake, I know you've had a few experiences bringing a vision to life. How do you do it? What's the creative process look like for you?
So historically, as an artist, I'm a very analog type of guy. I paint on canvas, straight up. I like making things with my hands. I like just building something out of nothing that I can then touch and feel and hold. And I know that's contrarian to the blockchain of these NFTs that are authentic and provable and scarce and this and that, but it's still this digital thing. So some of the NFT stuff that I do is taking my physical artwork, photographing it, bringing it into the digital world, preserving it on the blockchain that way. But a lot of it, and more often than not lately, when I'm doing creative direction for a client or a company or an individual, I'm working with a team of natively digital artists that are familiar with making something in Procreate, which is not my preferred or at least my skilled method or whatever. And that was a fun evolution, I think, for me as an artist, of going from being the creator, the executor, the illustrator, the painter, or whatever, to being the creative director, where I get to work with a team of people that have different skill sets than me, that you know, are also artists and executors, but I'm more of a puppet master / coach / teammate. Like, it's a very collaborative process, and that's like, it was an unexpected benefit. Like, when I first got into NFTs in 2020 and started selling pieces, one-of-ones out of my archive, some of which was like paired with a physical, and I was trying to really like bridge that gap. I don't even know what project or when it was that clicked, that I was like, oh, like, I don't have to be the one that like does the brush stroke. I could be the guy that helps make sure the right brush stroke gets done in the right way to serve this client's need. That's like a whole different level of creativity that like I hadn't really tapped into before. And so that was like a fun surprise, I guess, out of it.
Yeah, it's weird when you're an artist and you become the creative director. It's like letting go of a little bit of that aspect of the touching and feeling, like you said, and being like letting some other people's hands control. It's also pretty satisfying, but different.
It's awesome. And like, to me, it was actually like, it ended up feeling like a natural progression, because my art career, my physical art career, was starting to really like kind of pick up steam, and I was doing well, to the point where I was starting to hire studio assistants and having people, for the most part, handle logistics of my art business and not so much production. But there were times where even I was like, all right, well, I have this huge project and this big production thing, like, okay, I need some assistants to come in and lay some framework, right, and put paint on canvas, like for me, right, as the artist. But really us as we as the artist. It's not even just about me, but I was already kind of relinquishing that control. And then once it got to digital, it was way easier to be like, okay, well, I definitely know that I can't, like, what I could do on canvas, I can't do that on an iPad.
Right.
But I know people that can, and so like we could link up and connect and bring these visions to life.
Yeah.
So that's been so fun.
It is cool.
And Chris, you have some experience as a creative director.
Yes. No, I've been.
Sounds like a little bit.
I've been a creative director for, I don't want to age myself, but I've been a creative director for probably 10 years. In kind of the traditional advertising media realm, and that's, coming from the art background, it was a weird thing for me to do, and it was one of those things, again, where when you're an artist and you're a creator and you're used to doing it all yourself, it's interesting to let go of that control and put that onto someone else, and to have them. You're allowing someone else to create. I don't want to say your vision, because it's not. Sometimes it's not your vision. Sometimes it's someone else's vision, and you're trying to kind of be the conduit between the client or someone else. And basically execute. So that's something else entirely. But when you get to do something like the NFT project, and I'm lucky enough to get to do that, where I'm doing creative direction for that, where I'm hearing things from the client, being Bill Murray in this situation, or even just my own ideas, and we're putting this thing out, and I'm having other people kind of create these things. It's wild. And so it is kind of the new medium of creation. We talk about artwork and the creation and where we are now, and what's considered art on a digital landscape. It's multiple hands. It's you said the collective we, or the proverbial we. That's a big thing. So I've had a lot of experience being creative director. I like it. I also just kind of like to just be a designer. That's kind of my thing too. Is like I wish I could be an artist like yourself that could just be art and doing art. Man. But man, I think I found my niche in like just being a designer. That's kind of my thing. So yeah.
So quick aside, because I know the value, but imagine that a lot of folks haven't worked with creatives or artists,
sure,
or celebrities for that matter, which is a whole different ball game. What value does a creative director bring to the project?
Love that question.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's the magic.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, it's the magic of just putting this puzzle together that didn't exist beforehand, and it's all kind of this free fluid, freestyle thing where, and depending on the client that you're working with, like, there's some type of box that you have to fit in and you have to deliver this thing. But like even them, the whole reason that they're hiring a creative director or an agency or a team of individual artists to like execute the vision is because they don't know what they don't know. And they don't know, they're like, I know that I need something like this kind of, but like, I don't just want to do a rip-off copy of this thing, but this is the inspiration, but it's got to be unique to me. Like it's just like, it's the magic. And I don't know any other better way than like, it's like you're hiring a magician to like pull some stuff out of thin air and put the right pieces in place and trust them and their artistic vision that they're going to pull the right executors and plug them in so that they're going to spit out something that's like, that's exactly what I wanted, that I couldn't even tell you what it was. I just had to kind of tell you as best I could of what I think it is going to be, and then I'm trusting your magic to like put that together. Yeah. And it's hard to put a price on magic, and it's hard sometimes for clients to understand like looking back to be like, well, what even did you do? Which is fine. Like that is what it is. Like, yeah, right. Well, hey, you know what? That's the magic,
yeah,
right?
Exactly,
like
yeah.
we made it happen,
yeah.
And that's the magic.
It's done. You love it. They love it. Everyone loves it. What'd you do?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like with actors, right? Like Bill Murray, like the idea of like getting onto screen and acting, the ultimate thing that an actor could do is somebody getting so lost in the movie that it's like they're not acting. I'm watching a thing that's not acting.
Right.
And
you know that person's a person, but he's acting and you believe everything that's happening.
Totally. You're so bought into it. And you have to basically, you're doing the acting of the creative, maybe visual arts, where it's like, you didn't even realize that I was making this, like because you were just so caught up in that moment. You're making the magic.
Yeah. I mean, you said everything perfectly, but the value of a creative director, I think, is, like I said, like the conduit between, account, creative talent, client. There's so many different
budget,
pieces that
timeline,
budget, everyone, to where you're the person that's kind of the, I don't want to say this, but I don't want to say maestro, but you're kind of the, you said earlier, the puppet master. You're kind of controlling a lot of different things. And your whole, I used to be a big believer in the creative brief. That was like my thing. Like I swore by the creative brief was the
corners, like keystone
right,
thing.
The keystone. If it doesn't go against, if it doesn't have the creative brief ethos, get rid of it.
Yeah.
I live in a world now, I'm a digital world, where we don't have time to even put a creative brief together.
Totally.
Let alone adhere to a creative brief.
Totally.
So we're now in this place where we get clients coming to us, whether it be for work or for freelance or whatever it is, and all they want is something done. And they want it done, and they want it done.
They want the magic.
They want the magic.
They want the magic.
So the value of what a creative director brings, I mean, good creative directors make it look effortless. It's that 99% invisible aspect where good stuff looks like it never was.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you even do?
What'd you even do?
Exactly.
I thought that was perfectly said. I just wanted to get on that because that was you said it perfectly.
It's true, and it manifests in real life. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like that is what it is. Like it's the magic.
Yeah. Like you said, it's little of that.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly well said.
Hey, he said it perfectly. Yeah.
It's
How about I'll know it when I see it, right?
Oh, it's always a thing. Yeah.
I'll know it's right as soon as I see it.
The old saying I always heard was from clients. It was a joke, but it was always like, show me something I've never seen before and show me 3 examples of where it's been successful.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Right.
Totally.
You want proof from the market as it exists today that what you're creating is going to be successful, but it's got to be something brand new and groundbreaking that no one's ever seen before.
I want to see something I've never seen before, and I want to see 3 examples of it being, of it
working.
Right.
Yeah, before we get too deep.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that in NFTs. You're creating something. I hear, Blake, maybe you're working on some stuff.
Yeah.
How do you create something that someone's never seen before based on what you know about the market? Other than magic. Obviously, it's all magic.
Yeah. It's all magic.
Yeah. So I think, before I was a full-time artist, I worked in digital marketing. And that allowed me to have a lot of creative freedoms where I was the video editor, I was the copywriter, I was the social media community manager. I was doing all these different things that require different little niblets of creativity, which was enough to sustain me and keep me excited and keep me enthralled in that job for a while. And I worked there in that industry for 8 years, from startups where it was a founder of 1 or a team of 2, bootstrapping, all the way to $1 billion brand publicly traded companies. And by getting that whole diverse experience, I had all these different little creative things. Oh, you have to make this video. Oh, you got to do a voiceover. Oh, you have to make a rap song. Oh, you have to do this. And I loved every minute of that, of like trying new shit. And then what happened is I woke up on my 30th birthday and I realized that I feel like within the box of digital marketer, creativity wise, I've done the whole gambit. I did the rap song, I did the content, I've run YouTube channels, I did social media marketing, paid ads, organic growth, like all like earned media, viral stuff, like every single thing that I could think of in that realm. I was just like, now I'm just like on like print and repeat. I would just keep everything that I do. I'm like, oh, this is like this other thing, which on one hand made it easier to execute and also easier to communicate with clients and explain to them like expectations and budgets and everything, right? That made it simpler. But creatively, I just felt like the growth was stunted. I hit this peak and I also hit 30 and I'm like, what am I going to do this for the rest of my life? Just repeat the shit that I've already done, like in different ways. And so that was kind of the driving force of me ultimately putting my notice in and leaving that industry entirely and shifting into art full time, and found painting unintentionally, like it's always been a love of mine, and landed back in that. And so now that I've been in that creative space, spent the last almost 7 years doing that. And at first it's like, oh, I get to paint a picture, that's new. Oh, now I'm going to try and do a watercolor, that's new. Oh, now I'm doing a mural on the side of a building, that's new. Oh, now I'm doing a video around, like it was all this new stuff. NFTs gave me that. Oh, now this is this digital art and has these new properties and things that I can do. But I feel like, and I've been in the space for 2.5 years doing tons of different projects, that I almost feel like I hit that box, like that ceiling again, where I'm like, am I in the box of like, am I going to wake up one day and be like, what the fuck am I doing? I need to switch things up. And I realized with NFTs and with the blockchain is like, this is the Wild West. It's a new frontier. There's no best practices. There's no standardized anything. And if you try to look at a standardized something, that's what worked last quarter. And ETH was in a different place. The market, like every single thing was different, that like you can't just repeat what you're doing. And so I think we're just in this really fun Wild West frontier where I basically like woke up 6 weeks ago and was like, fuck, like why do we need rarity traits for a project? Why do we need to have, why is it a fucking Discord grind for a whitelist for this? Like, what is that? That doesn't fucking make sense to me. Like all this stuff that I was like, just took a step back and I was like, we don't have to do it like that. We don't have to be in this box. We we can make our own box. And so the project now that I'm working on is pushing literally like every single boundary that I could possibly think of. Like, well, okay, what's the industry standard of this? Great, let's do the opposite thing of that. That doesn't make any sense. No one's gonna know where to mint. They're not gonna know the website address. I don't care, make them fucking find it. Like, make it a game. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I'm so excited about the next project that I'm working on. Is like, it just is like, I'm just trying to push myself outside of the comfort zone, outside of just this normal fucking in a box setting, right? That like I've found myself in multiple times now in my career and life.
Yeah, like someone's defined these barriers, but they have no basis.
Yeah.
For side note, the best VO we got so far is Niblets of Creativity. So I just want to point that out. So
that was a good one.
Yeah, Niblets of Creativity is my favorite. Yeah. No, you're right. Like if so and so or whoever says we should do it this way, we're in this space right now where we collectively could do whatever the fuck we want.
Totally.
So so why do it one way? Yeah.
Totally.
But that's uncomfortable for people, especially in a client scenario, right?
Yes.
The client
Definitely.
wants to have
with the project I'm doing right now, there's
Yes.
no world that I could execute the project that I'm doing. It's a collab with another artist and as well as like a team of executors and people to help me produce it. There's no way I could sell this to a client and say, yo, I'm gonna try this, because it's like, I just feel like, I don't know, it's like Steve Jobs sitting in a fucking basement thinking about like, well, what if a computer did this or looked like this? Is like, everyone's like, what the fuck do you mean is gonna look like, is gonna do that and be like that? Like, they don't get it. But and maybe Steve Jobs had, and that's just a random example, maybe him or any other creator has a crystal clear idea of like, I'm making this thing that's never existed before and this is what it's going to look like. I'm thinking, I'm trying to make something that's never existed before and I don't know what it's going to look like, and I love that about it. but you can't sell that to a client.
Yeah.
But that's like where like I get to lean back into like I'm not, I guess, creative direction kind of, but like I get to really like do the art. Like to me, like that's the pushing the boundaries is the art for me.
That's the
In that
niblets.
case, that's the niblets. Yeah, those are the
Yeah.
good
Those are
niblets.
the niblets.
Yeah, the best niblets rise to the top.
Living the dream, making your own project there, making your own way.
That is living the dream. Yeah.
It's really
That's
it's
right.
really fucking cool. And like and my partner on it is my girlfriend who's also a painter, phenomenal artist. Shout out Meg Zaney.
Shout out. Yeah.
And so it's just interesting navigating a project, and you know this, like with a life partner, right, into like a business zone. And we had this conversation the other day. She's like, well, what if, because we're putting like a lot of hurdles into actually even in the NFT scope of things, I can say this much at least, like you're not just, it's not going to be like promoted on Twitter like, yo, public mint is here, like go mint. It's like you got to dig for it and you got to find it. You got to be following the story. We're building story first. She's like, well, what if not enough people find it? And what if it doesn't mint out? And what if it this? I'm like, who cares? Like we already won because we're doing something like wildly different. And like to me, the last 6 weeks of ourselves like locked in the studio thinking about these crazy ideas, and then whatever's existed, we're like, all right, let's go that direction. To me, that's like the winning part. And I think because of that, I actually think it will be wildly successful. And I think people will pick up on that like authenticity of like, I'm not doing it to fucking try and make X amount of Ethereum. I'm doing it because I want to like push the boundaries of my own art and push what I can do, and not wake up every morning feel like I'm stuck in a box again.
And the fact that you did it is a success.
Yeah, and it's on the blockchain forever. So like even if people don't appreciate it now, and then they look at it 6 years later and everyone's doing some weird shit like that, they're like, yo, you know what the OG project that actually pioneered that was? It was this project.
Right.
And you can prove it very crystal clear, no argument, right? Versus like, oh, I thought of Facebook before Facebook existed, I just didn't move on it. It's like, yeah, of course you fucking did.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like now there's fucking proof of it. It's kind
There's
of cool.
literal blockchain proof. Yeah.
That's amazing. Chris, I wonder how your perspective varies on that. You're working in a client scenario, probably some KPIs or outcomes that you're driving towards, or how's your strategy different?
Yeah, good question. But I mean, we're fortunate that it's Bill Murray. You know,
Totally.
and I think that Bill Murray is one
He
of
might
these.
be the only client that would let me fly with the idea that I'm
Yeah,
running with. Like,
like-
he's the type of dude that's like, oh, you want to do some weird shit? All right.
And
All
literally, we've
right,
had this conversation
right?
with him about doing weird shit, and he's like, and actually, his representation has said to us, "You guys got to do more weird shit."
It's amazing.
So we've done some really weird shit.
Yeah.
And I think we're super fortunate that for him, it's not a dollar thing.
Totally. He doesn't need the money.
He does not.
He doesn't need the
bag.
money.
He does not need the bag at all.
Yeah.
He is literally trying to create something that will be permanent.
Totally.
And I think that's kind of. I mean, I have goosebumps thinking
Dude,
about.
I've seen you get goosebumps like 3 times. And I almost called you out before. I'm like, I know you, like you're in it. You're like in that, dude. And I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think
like
it's really fucking cool.
He is down to make this thing that will be around forever, because truthfully, dude's getting old.
Yeah.
And he has done some really cool stuff, both on screen and probably cooler stuff off screen.
Yeah.
And I think he's at that point of like every old guy that just wants to sit around.
It's on his
just wants
side
to-
quests.
Yeah, and they want to sit around, drink a little, glass of scotch and tell stories.
Yeah.
And that's where Bill Murray's at, and he doesn't really want. Yeah, I mean, cool. He'd be stoked to make some coin for his family because he's got kids and the whole deal.
Sure.
But him is not tied to money. So to answer your question, are we connected to KPIs? Maybe once we get this thing going, we might be. And once this thing becomes a thing and we're doing all the events and all this other stuff that comes with it. But as of now, it's been a really fun, super creative, dare I say, organic, creative process with Bill.
Yeah.
Truthfully, the way it goes is I spend a ton of time with our CEO. We talk about the stories that he's written, both Bill and the CEO, and I basically come up with this, whatever the graphics are, we send them off to Bill, and he says,
yes, no, change that. Like,
but
that's fucking
very
dope.
little. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yo, that's fire. Like, I can imagine that. Like,
and his representation literally will sit down much like this and record him on their cell phone, and he's giggling. He's hilarious.
That's the KPI. How many giggles do we get out of Bill Murray? Like and that could be like a legit thing. That you guys
Literally.
could like measure. It'd be like, all right, guys, you know what? We want to fucking our goal is to send fucking Bill this treatment.
Yeah.
We're looking for 4 or 5 deep belly giggles.
And we got them.
Right?
And
Like that. I think that's a cool thing.
And one of the
like,
NFTs
right?
that we were working on, it was good. I mean, the artwork was great. The story is great.
Yeah.
But Bill Murray saw it, laughed his ass off,
Yeah.
and was adding a little color to it. And that video was going to be a part of the NFT. So
Sure.
when you buy that NFT, you
Yeah,
get
you
that
get to
video.
hear, yeah, it's yeah. It's
That's
amazing.
it. If
So
you get
cool.
Bill Murray to laugh like that,
Yeah.
you got something. So
Totally.
yeah,
That's the KPI. I like that as the KPI.
yeah, that's our KPI. Yeah. How many giggles? How many laughs
How many
do we get out
giggles
of
do we
Bill
get
Murray?
out of Bill? Yeah.
How
yeah.
many giggles and how many
Bill giggles.
goosebumps?
I mean, so far I think I got like 4.
Yeah, I've seen
So-
a couple. I'm the same way too. I love it. I love like being in a situation where I'm talking about projects, even with fucking random strangers, and I just get goosebumps because I'm like, they don't even know. Like it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's fucking so much fun. Like
Yeah.
like that's the world that we live in right now. It's like we're just shaping the future from not like we're molding. It's fucking crazy.
100%. And
crazy.
even today, before I came over, my wife was like, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, "No, I'm not nervous because I'm into this. This
Totally.
is what I'm into." So
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to be talked about like fuel prices, yeah, I can be a little bit nervous about it because I don't know shit about that. But like, you want to talk about creating cool NFTs with cool people and doing cool stuff and what that means,
Yeah.
I could talk about it. So
Yeah.
I'm not nervous.
And something like speaking to that a little bit that I really appreciate is like, if you're thinking about KPIs like fucking giggles or goosebumps, then things like floor price or wherever the market is and where Ethereum is, like all of that, like everybody that's been like I just got goosebumps. Look at that. Everybody's freaking out,
goosebump
right?
gauge,
For 6 weeks over like, oh my God, Ethereum's taking a dump. Oh, this is the end of everything. Like ETH as we know it is dead. Like whatever it is. And I'm just like, I got fucking earplugs in, or I'm like, dude, my KPI has nothing to do with where the price
Yeah.
of Ethereum is or what
Exactly.
the floor price of blue chip projects are. I don't give a fuck. I have bags that like, sure, I hope Ethereum goes up and I hope that, but that's not how I'm hoping to make it rich by like the Ethereum I'm sitting on. It's like what I'm going to build into something that's like I'm making the magic.
Yeah.
And the magic has no bearing. And in fact, like arguably like better opportunities right now in this bear market is like, okay, cool, you guys all want to quit because like ETH is low? Like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
I'm making magic and I'm chasing the giggles and goosebumps.
Yeah,
Like,
my thing is I want to be
just-
a part of it. So
yeah.
this is my entry.
yeah.
Chasing giggles and goosebumps all day.
Dude, I love that. I want to
Niblets.
I think we should coin that.
Giggles and goosebumps.
KPIs,
It's really
giggles,
good.
and
I mean,
goosebumps.
I'm sitting here thinking like, how do we work niblets into this?
Yeah, niblets, giggles, and goosebumps.
That's
I think
it.
we
Yeah.
just did it. Yeah.
I think that's a
Yeah.
wrap.
Yeah.
Niblets, giggles, and goosebumps.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
all we
we're
really
after.
need.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
Everything else
agree.
is secondary.
You guys are awesome. This has been
Yeah.
great.
It's good.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. And